Happy Star Wars Sunday to everyone. I'm Josh. Welcome back to the den. Ooh, we got a live one. If you're like me, you've been asking one question over and over again, before you go to bed every night. You look in the mirror, or maybe you're a praying person, you pray to Darth Sidious. You asking one question over and over again. Where the heck is the Episode 9 trailer number 2? Where is it? How close? When does this movie come out? This movie comes out. I got to turn this up a little bit. This is kind of cool. We're going to hear the drop. Okay, we can turn it back down. When the heck is this trailer coming out? And guess what, guys? We finally have an answer, or at least we have a pretty good answer. Now, some people out there online are calling this a leak. I don't really think it's a leak. It's just common sense, I think. So right now, what a lot of people are reporting, guys, is that at D23, we will be getting the next trailer for Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. In fact, we even know the time. Here, I'll look into this. And by the way, guys, if you're new to the channel, if you're just joining, I've never seen a video before, never seen my face. Fan Chat Lives are long-form things, very casual. We're going to be hanging out, doing Q&A. I'm going to make a couple points. We're going to talk about the trailer, preview the trailer and stuff, and then we're going to get into Q&A. But this might not be the video for you. If you don't like long-form stuff, come back, check out the Nerdy News Rundown or some of the other edited videos we have. But if you're here and you know what's up, then welcome. I see you guys in the chat. So cool. Yeah, hit those likes, guys. Hit those likes. Everybody loves reminding me because I'm so terrible at it. But yeah, if you could hit the like button, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Okay, so let's get into this. So right now, what people are reporting out there is that D23 will be when we get our next look at Star Wars Episode 9. Right here on the D23 website, it says that Friday, August 23rd at 3:30 p.m., and I will double check this, but I believe that this is 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because that's where I believe it's in Anaheim, is where D23 is going to be located. It says here, fans won't want to miss the exclusive preview at Disney Plus. It's an exciting slate of original films, blah, 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 blah. So right then and there is where they're going to be doing like Mandalorian stuff, Disney Plus stuff like that. But I believe that will also be around the time when we get looking at the other Disney properties here. Yeah, because as I look at the schedule, I don't really see another spot on here where they're going to be doing this kind of stuff. But in either case, that's what they're saying out there online, guys. They are saying out there online that at D23 on Friday is when we will be checking out the next trailer for The Rise of Skywalker. And I also want to say, too, I see all of you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the love in the chat. Al Schuler could not be here today. He was originally going to be on today's show. Just too much family stuff came up, so he wasn't able to make it. But before we go any further, I want to shout out the patrons. And here's the thing, too. We live streamed yesterday, and I did an oopsie. Because how do I say this? I'm just not good with Patron. I'm not good. I don't understand the website very much, and I missed a lot of patrons yesterday. But here we go. I'm shouting out the patrons. Guys, if you're not a patron, go check out the Patron page. For as little as $1 a month, you get a bunch of awesome access. We've been having a lot of fun over there. In fact, we're doing another fan chat or a patron exclusive live stream tomorrow night, Monday night. But here, let's go through the patrons. Second Street Marble, Abby Lugo, Al Schuler, of course, the executive producer, Andrew Needham, Barry Bofi, Brian Miller, Kara Maciak, Daniela Torres, Heidi Factor, Jake Brower, Jennifer L. Thompson, Sim Seymour, Joseph Lennon, Luthien from the Girls with Sabers. I see you Girls with Sabers in there. I see you in the chat. Mark Chandler, a new patron. Miss E.R. Hood, Motang, Nod, Maverick Pilgrim, Norin Rad, Ramsus Vester, Grand Neely. Dang, that's a hard name, bro. Rasmus, sorry, bro, I can't pronounce anything. Rebel Geek, Rebel Scum Podcast, Ricardo Chardon, Robin Cage, Ryan Hicksaw, Ryan H, new executive producer on the channel, keeping the lights on over here. By the way, I cannot wait for you guys to see the video I'm working on with Ryan. The 10 Rings and Dark Avengers is going to be awesome. Spencer Stark, Tara Tyler, and Trevor. And a special shout out to Trevor and Tara Tyler, two of the most active patrons that we have that I didn't mention yesterday because I'm terrible. Okay. Thank you, patrons. You guys are amazing. Go check out the Patreon if you haven't. So, I got a question for chat. I got a question for you guys. What is the deal with this trailer number 2? Why do you guys believe that it has taken so long for us to get the second trailer for The Rise of Skywalker? Does it not feel like we're like long overdue for this trailer? Because you'll remember, we thought we were actually going to get the first trailer of this thing in December of last year. And then going into January, there were a lot of rumors. A lot of the people that I follow were saying that they cut 2 trailers. There were 2 trailers for Star Wars Episode 9, teaser trailers of sorts that were said to come out around that time in December or January. And remember, obviously, that did not happen, right? And so you got to ask, well, why didn't that happen? What was going on? Now, reportedly, at the time, what people were saying was that the reason it didn't happen was because of Marvel. Basically, Disney was at odds with Marvel and Star Wars. They're trying to figure it out. Well, what do we do here? Marvel, Star Wars. We got this problem. We got these 2 awesome properties. The logic back then and what they were saying was, let's let Marvel take over. Let's sort of keep Star Wars away. Let the Marvel stuff blow up. Endgame's coming out. Let's just get out of the way of Endgame, and then boom. Okay, we'll start doing that. Well, maybe, right? Maybe. But more and more, it's really seeming like Marvel is just going to dominate the news cycle over and over again, okay? I was actually just talking to Al Schuler about this yesterday. We were talking about this. We had a great conversation, by the way. And I was like, Al, save some of this convo for the freaking stream tomorrow, bro. But he couldn't come, so now I'm actually glad that we had that convo the way we did yesterday. But in that convo, we were talking about this. We're like, dude, Marvel is at this place where they're just going to they're just dominating the news cycle. And if you think about it, with Disney Plus and all the programming that they have going on over there, it really feels like all 4 seasons are Marvel seasons. Like, Marvel's just going to dominate the news cycle every season. So what I'm saying here is that if Star Wars is truly thinking to themselves that they have to get out of Marvel's way, I think that's terrible. I think that's a really bad idea. And so you could maybe excuse that for being the reason why they weren't releasing stuff earlier on in the year. They released the trailer at Star Wars Celebration. Great move. I think it's a really smart move. A lot of the buzz around it was pretty positive. What's up, Lance Corporal Kitty? How you doing? I just think that after that, they're really playing it close to the chest. We get, the EW spread. You know what I mean? And I love that spread. But the video, I made 2 videos. I made a video Wednesday and I made a video Thursday that week when that came out. The going over the pictures and everything that was in the entertainment spread, that video didn't pop at all. And then I did a video the next day talking about the real story, which is Matt Smith, Palpatine, everything Disney's hiding, what they don't want you to know. And that video blew up. And I knew it would blow up. And I got all frustrated and pissed off because my thing is like, dude, Star Wars and Lucasfilm, you're just not doing it the right way. You're not trickling the right things. You're not teasing us the right ways. You know what I mean? And so what do you think could be the reason, chat, that we haven't had a trailer up till now? What do you think the reason could be? Because I see some people in the chat talking about reshoots. I don't know. I don't know about that. I really don't know about that. I think that there are certainly reshoots going on in the film, and I think there's been a lot of adjustment to the movie. But I think the reshoots, particularly now, are really like pickups, improving the quality of the things, doing that, right? I don't know. I really don't know, and I can't decide like whether it's good or bad. I'm having some very scared flashbacks to when Solo was coming out, and there was just didn't seem to be any promotion for Solo whatsoever, and Solo was hurt by that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of factors into why Solo didn't make money, but there's a lot of factors that I think were tied to marketing with Solo. I see some people saying they want to build up anticipation. Yeah, Star Wars fatigue. JJ is secretive. I actually think that it does have something to do with JJ. I actually think, believe it or not, this is my theory on this. And by the way, guys, if you missed the beginning of the stream, D23, and I'm pretty sure August 23rd, that Friday, is when we will be getting the next Star Wars Episode 9 trailer, and you can bet your bottom dollar that the Den of Nerds is going to be covering it. We're going to be all over that thing, okay? So make sure to subscribe, enable notifications, like the video, all that. I actually think, my theory on this is that JJ is super mad that some of the leaks came out, particularly when it comes to Matt Smith. I think JJ is so butthurt and pouty about the leaks coming out that the reason that they're not putting out this trailer right now is because they're like, man, every little thing that these Star Wars fans get, they tear it apart, they figure everything out, and I want there to be secrets for the film, so that's it. Because if you think about it, when you look at even the first trailer, think about how much we figured out from that. Like, we're pretty sure that's the Knights of Ren that Kylo's fighting at one point. We're pretty sure Kylo and Rey are going to be working together. That desert scene is either shot specifically to mess with our brains, or that's some kind of training and or practice and or collaborative thing with Kylo and Rey. And so I honestly believe that this very well probably has to do with frustrations within Lucasfilm and JJ's, Bad Robot or whatever, as far as what's getting out there for leaks and, what they're wanting to release. And one of the reasons that I think that one of the real reasons I think this is happening is because if you guys will remember, there was something weird that happened with the Star Wars leaks subreddit where some Disney people were doing an investigation and they were trying to figure out where these leaks were coming from. They were very upset about some of the leaks, and they were trying to. That's why the Star Wars leaks subreddit right now has been taken over. It's infiltrated by Disney. There's like a lot of corporate-y, push. It's no bueno. It's no bueno, right? And so I think that Disney is trying to figure out the leaks. They're trying to get a handle on the leaks before they release the next trailer. I think that's what it was. Now, either that or their plan with the marketing here is literally to put the big, tentpole marketing trailer drops to literally strategically put them out when Star Wars fans will be really hype on Star Wars. So, Celebration, brilliant example. D23, brilliant example. They're going to have a lot of Star Wars fans there. People will be hype on Mandalorian, a lot of, Disney Plus stuff, talk of the Clone Wars, blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. Boom. Then you get the next trailer. But to me, that shows a serious lack in confidence as far as the ability of your marketing to create its own buzz. When Marvel releases a trailer, particularly an Avengers trailer, but almost any trailer, I believe, at this point, whenever they decide to release it, the whole internet just shifts and just, boom, it's on the Marvel John. That used to be the way that it was with Star Wars. I think that it still is that way with Star Wars, even though there's some, a good bit of negativity in the fan community. I think that they could definitely still release stuff and get people really excited. Yo, Greg Allen, I see you, baby. So that's my theory. Okay, so that's my theory. Now, in summary of all of these ideas here, we are pretty sure that the next trailer is going to release at D23. Okay, so that's where we're at with it now. As far as what to expect in this trailer, I thought a lot about this, okay? Now, go with me on a little journey here. Just go with me on a little journey, my friends. Here's what I think this trailer is going to do. What I think it needs to do. It needs to establish the baseline setting for where we are at in episode 9. And the baseline setting for where we are at in episode 9 is that Kylo Ren and the First Order are on the brink of winning. They're on the brink of winning. Things are real good for them. The military, there's some resistance here and there, right? There's this last hope with Rey and the resistance. But by and large, it doesn't look good. It don't look good. Big boy Kylo Ren. You know, he's got his pants pulled up near his nipples. He's ready for business. He's ready to go. Not a lot of opposition out of there. You know what I mean? Snoke's off the board. Skywalker's off the board. It's just Rey, you know, and the resistance. There's like 12 people. So I think the setting essentially for the next trailer is going to be like it has to set the tone. The tone of the film is that Kylo and the First Order on the brink, and there's this pesky resistance, man, that just won't let up, and they're trying to do something crazy. Kylo's trying to solidify his rule. He's trying to finalize it. So that's the base level idea for what the trailer will set up. I expect it to start with some either Kylo dialogue or perhaps some dialogue from Hux, some First Order stuff, right? Talking about how, you know, we're so close to crushing the rebellion. And then it's literally going to cut to like Rey and the resistance. They're going to be like, we're the last hope. We're the ones that can do it. You know what I mean? And then I think if they're smart, they'll focus on this idea that, because remember, we're hearing that this is a different kind of film, that it's really like an adventure. And when you start to piece some of the stuff with the leaks together, it's like, oh man, they're all on adventure. Like Kylo's going to hit the Oracle up. He's trying to find the Wayfinder device. He's looking for the Sith fleet because he wants to destroy the Resistance once and for all, solidify his rule. Rey will probably be looking for the Wayfinder device or looking for something to try to stop Kylo Ren, or she's looking for something in the ability to stop the First Order. And so here's the trailer. And by the way, this isn't Twitch, but somebody clip this, because in 3 weeks from now, when I'm 1,000% right, somebody please here. I'm gonna do what I did on yesterday's stream too. Okay. Somebody take a screenshot of this, because this is what you need to post on your social media. Okay. You got it? Do you got that? Do you got it? Okay, cool. Take that and put it up on social media after I get this 1,000% correct, and just be like, this guy, this freaking guy has some kind of magic powers. I can't believe how good he is at prognosticating. Okay? Switch it up, Greg says. You were probably in the stream yesterday, right, Greg? You saw that same pose. Yeah. One more time? Please, guys. Please. All right, one more. Here we go. Right? Here we go. Whew. All right. Dang, man. I feel like a cam girl now. But yeah, so basically, here's what it's going to do. It's going to start First Order stuff. Something will be told to us about, oh, you guys aren't ready. You got to record this. I'll start over. All right, here we go. Here's how the episode 9 trailer is going to go, internet. You're going to start off with some kind of First Order. You're going to be shown the First Order. You're going to be shown Kylo Ren. We're going to be told by one character or another that they're so close. The First Order is close to solidifying their rule. Boom! Then we'll cut to the Resistance, the 12 people left. And somehow Rey or someone else is going to depict that, we're the last hope. We have to do this thing. We can't let Kylo win. You know, something like that. Boom. Then you'll get some shot back to Kylo Ren and some kind of tease of like, oh, if you want the ultimate power, here's what you've got to do. And then, you know, you'll cut back to the Resistance and it's adventure time. You know, freaking Lando. Woo! You know, fire, lightsaber, you know. And then, boom, this Christmas, have your mind blown against the wall. Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. That's it. In fact, if Disney was really smart, they would literally just cut what I did just now. I mean, Disney, if you're having some trouble with Star Wars, honest to God, if you can't figure out how to do these trailers, just clip what I did just now. And yeah, that's all you need to do. I'll do it for free. So, we're having a good Star Wars Sunday already. I'm loving it. So that's what I expect, okay? That's what I expect from the trailer, and I think that would be the smart way to go, okay? So now, guys, let's get into some Q&A. Please bring your questions. I know we didn't do a Star Wars Sunday video, and I know things have been weird lately. By the way, I just want to say this. I get these, comments or things, all the time from people. Like, the other week, man, some dude was like, another Sunday without a Star Wars video. Why don't you just change the name of the channel to The Den of Marvel? I can't believe you lately. And it's like, first of all, dude, you don't understand what it's like to make all this content. Second of all, dude, I'm in the middle of moving. You know what I mean? I'm in the middle of moving, setting up this new studio, making incredible amounts of personal sacrifice just so that I can streamline production and give more content than I've ever had in my entire life. I'm fully committed. I'm full-time in a content creator right now. I'm literally doing everything I possibly can to make people happy on the internet, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, man. People just get so butthurt because we miss one Star Wars Sunday. I know it's been weird lately, but we're trust me, we're getting to a point right now. You're gonna have more. You guys are gonna be sick of me. You guys are going to be sick of seeing my face and hearing my voice. Hopefully not really, but you probably will. All right, so let's get into some Q&A, guys. Let's get into some Q&A. Please drop the questions. There's plenty to talk about here. Where is Palpatine? Let's start with this. E.G. Matthias Pedersen explained. I gotta be honest, that's a weird name. Too close to some bad words there. Where's Palpatine at? Okay, so I think Palpatine, the most likely scenario here is that his essence has survived. So he does not have a body, but he hasn't fully moved on. Okay. Now there's a couple of different things that make me think about this. Okay. Number one, the Sith are obsessed with immortality. They want to live forever, but one of the crazy things is the only immortality we've seen in Star Wars so far is really the Force ghosts. Okay, and the Force ghosts, they get there by being selfless. So it's really weird. The Jedi don't seek that, right? The Jedi get immortality. The Sith want immortality. Now, what we've seen recently, though, with the Lord Momin arc in the Vader comic book, is that the Sith can survive past death in a way, but they are tied to material objects, or they need someone else to be a vessel or something. They need something like that. So they themselves cannot just come back to life, okay? They can come back and in some certain way, and it leads me to believe that Palpatine is alive in a fashion. Palpatine is some kind of Force spirit at this point, and he's looking for a body, he's looking for a vessel. So that's where I think Palpatine is. Any chance of Reylo hints in the new trailer? Yeah, I think so. I certainly think so. Now, the Reylo thing is such an interesting issue. I know there's Reylos in here. I don't consider myself to be a Reylo, but I like those two characters, and I like the romantic tension that they have. My thing with Reylo is, I don't think they can completely take it out. They can't just ignore everything that's been set up, right? But my concern is that Lucasfilm will downplay it, adjust it, not make it come to pass or come to fruition in a way that would satisfy the people that really want them to end up together. So if shipping is shipping, let's just be real. If shipping is shipping, how many of the shippers, and I want to know, I'm really curious, shippers, how many times have you actually gotten it right? How many ships actually come to pass? Remember when people shipped John and Danny together? How'd that work out? Yeah. Like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I just don't think it's going to work out that way. But that tension is real and it exists. So as far when you say, are there going to be any hints at Reylo? It's like I say yes, but like not really. It's like, yeah, there'll be hints at the tension, there'll be hints at the attraction, there'll be hints at the relationship, the intimacy that they have, but there won't be hints that they're going to walk off into the twin sunsets and have babies and be happy forever. I don't think that's going down. Should Palpatine be in the next trailer, Josh? Yes and no. Palpatine should be in every trailer moving forward, in a sense. Just like Vader was in The Force Awakens. And you might be like, well, Vader wasn't in The Force Awakens. Dude, Vader's fingerprints are all over that movie. You know, we hear Han Solo say Vader for the first time. We see the old mask. You know what I mean? Vader weighs heavily on this trilogy. And in that same way, even though he's not in it, Palpatine should not be in the trailer physically, but he should be in the trailer. Like, people should be talking about it. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Thoughts on time travel being in 9? No way. No way. No way. There's just no way that there's going to be time travel in Star Wars. And you know what's funny? So I absorb content just like you guys all absorb content. I watched the, it's not World Class Bullshitters. Who's the guys that did that? The Half in the Bag guys? Red Letter Media. Which, by the way, I don't really enjoy Red Letter Media. And nothing against them. I think they do good content. It's just not my cup of tea. I've just never really liked Red Letter Media. I think it's cool that they've built their brand like without really like trying, or just years and years of doing the same, and they found an audience. That's awesome. I'm not a big fan. It has nothing to do with them, being tongue in cheek and being down on Star Wars. There's some people out there that I really enjoy their content that are super negative on Star Wars. I just think they're hilarious, so I watch their stuff. As far as I think Riley said it best. If you guys watch the Rule of Two podcast, I think Riley said it best. He was like, for them to do something like that in the very last movie of the saga, they're trying to wrap up the the Skywalker saga. They do that in the very last movie. Oh my God. I'm not going to say I would be out. Like Riley was like, I'm out. I'd have to see how it was handled. But I got to be real. Very little faith. I have very little faith. If they were to go the time travel route, no thank you. That doesn't seem cool. Do you consider the world between worlds time traveling, or not so much because they don't really change stuff too much? So that's a tough question, Matt C. So technically, that is time travel, because they pull Ahsoka out. Like, here's the thing: they pull Ahsoka out of a moment where she would have absolutely died. There's no way around it. She would have died. And they pull her out. She has an interaction with Ezra, but then they put her back. So at the end of that episode, or not, so after that episode, she walks out of the pyramid. She walks out of that temple. She lives. And then we don't know what the hell she does during that whole time period. She just stays out of the limelight and then shows back up at the epilogue of Rebels, which I thought was amazing. The world between worlds is time travel, but it's more like they went into like the back door of the Force. It's almost like they found this like matrixy part of the Force. And I can see how, from the perspective of the cosmic force, time is all simultaneous and time is just all happening at once. I love the world between worlds. I thought it was handled brilliantly. Really cool part of the lore. Palpatine wanted that bad. You know what I mean? He wanted to get in there bad. But he didn't. And I don't know if anyone ever will get back in there. You know what I mean? So I don't think the world between worlds is time travel. That is now, that's the way time travel will happen in Star Wars. I think it was just a kind of isolated thing. And that's pretty much it. By the way, guys, there's a lot of cool questions. I'm going to get to as many as I can. If you have a little loot and you want to do a super chat, it supports the channel. It helps the channel out. I will answer every single super chat that comes in. But if you don't have any loot, don't worry about it. Just keep throwing those questions, and I'll try to get to as many as I can. Let's see here. Could Finn be revealed to be Force sensitive? Grin Productions asks. I think that's possible. There's actually been some cool articles I've read recently and some speculation about that suggests that Finn could indeed be Force sensitive. There is something to the effect of in The Force Awakens when Kylo just looks over and like has that weird moment where he's looking at Finn. Like there's something to that, right? I would not be mad if that's what's going on and you have Rey training Finn a little bit in the ways of the Force. That would be really cool. Yeah, I'd be okay with it. I would totally be okay with it. How much time do you think there will be between 8 and 9? I believe it is more or less confirmed that it is about a year. It is about a year of time that passed from 8 to 9. Girls with Sabers coming in hot with the super chat. No question. Just want to give some dollars. Thank you very much. You guys are awesome. By the way, Girls with Sabers, you got to hit me up. There's some really interesting YouTube stuff that I just learned. And I want to share some of that info with you guys to help you guys out. Flick Talk coming in hot with the $2 super chat. Hope Rey wears her white hood in at least one scene. Yeah, that would be cool, man. That would be really cool. Something about cloaks and Jedi. You know what I mean? Something about cloaks and hoods and the Jedi and the Sith. I really do think that that's kind of a fun thing, so I would like to see that as well. Guys, remember how much we speculated about Rey's staff before The Force Awakens? We talked a lot about Rey's staff. I think there could still be something to Rey's staff, which I think would be really fun. Harry S. Plinkett coming in with the super chat. What do you think the runtime will be? I think it's 2.5 hours plus. I don't think that it will reach that 4-hour space. Or 4 hour. I don't think it'll hit that 3-hour space. But I do think they need ample time. In the same way that Endgame is, the end cap to like 22 movies and 10 years of filmmaking, and it's like 3 hours was earned. You know what I mean? You need 3 hours for that. I think it's the same thing with Star Wars. If this is really concluding the Skywalker saga, you know what I mean? Like 40 plus years of filmmaking and a fandom, then yeah, I think that you can have a 2.5 hour plus movie. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at. Happy Star Wars Sunday. Peace out, Girls with Sabers. Good to see you in here. Yeah, so I'd say 2.5 hours plus. If anything, like getting towards that 2 hours and 40 minutes, that's a really nice area. That's a nice chunk of time. So remember, too, guys, JJ said that his first cut of The Force Awakens was almost 4 hours long, and he almost showed it to the studio because he thought it worked. That's crazy. That is crazy. By the way, how many of you guys are Girls with Sabers fans in here? And how many of you saw their stream this week where they said crazy Raylo news? And how many of you saw the absolutely ridiculous super chat that I sent them? It was so funny. Oh my God, it was hilarious. I almost clipped it. I wanted to clip it and put it in a video or whatever, but yeah, it was pretty funny. Yeah. Jared Reinstein coming in here. What if Rey Force imbues her staff like the Jedi of old before lightsabers? That would be dope. Yeah, that would be really cool. And if you don't know what Jared is talking about here, like basically the early Jedi, and I think in some of the KOTOR games as well, they would just imbue their swords or their staves with the Force. So like basically like it's a normal sword, but it's fortified by the Force. So it's almost like putting like a magic spell over it so that it's like more powerful or whatever. But you could Force imbue it, and then it's essentially like a lightsaber because, it's got the power of the Force on the blade. So yeah, that would be really, really cool. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate the support. Yeah, that would be really cool. What do I think about Rey being Shmi Skywalker theory? That's kind of a fun theory, right? I do think there's something to do with her, with either clones or whatever the Emperor was doing as far as the contingency, as far as what they were doing with the midichlorians, because both Palpatine and Plagueis were obsessed with creating a forced birth, with creating life. Now, in the old canon or the EU, part of this was the fact that Plagueis had been messing around and never had a successful experiment. But the way it was explained, I believe this was in the Plagueis novel, was that Anakin's birth was viewed as a byproduct of the Force. The Force, after being kind of messed with, and they were like, oh, let's try to create life, and it didn't work, but it messed with the Force enough so that the Force ended up just making its own life. And that's what Anakin was. So that's possibly the route we're going to go. And I think that would be really cool. I do think that it's smart to attach Rey to Palpatine and to attach Rey to something. Let me just go on a little tangent here for a second. Let me go on a little tangent here, guys. So I was talking to Al yesterday. We were having this big, long talk about Star Wars and where we're at, as a community. And I know a lot of people like Rey, no one, like, Rey from nowhere, no lineage. I know there's a lot of people that like that. And I always try to explain to people why I don't like it and why I think it was a bad idea. And I think yesterday I had the perfect way of explaining it. And it was something like this. When you think about Star Wars and you think of the tapestry, the massive tapestry that is Star Wars, and you think about all the characters, the planets, the battles, all the different things that have happened in Star Wars. When you think of the character of Kylo Ren, there are these attributes to his character that are caked into the fact that we can think and visualize about what it was like when he was born. How much did Luke hang around? Leia and Han and this kid. How much was he into politics? Did he spend a lot of time with his dad out in the Falcon? How much did his dad tell him about the old wars? Did he know about his dad smuggling? You know what I mean? How much did he know about Luke? How much did he know about Vader after he knew that? So there's so much of this stuff that is caked into Kylo's character because, and only because, he is the offspring of characters that we know from the other trilogies. So when it comes to Rey, like, there's none of that is caked into her at all. Like, I literally, when I think of the Rey character, there's just so little of that character. Even my concepts, my ideas, my speculation about that character, there's so little to that character that is attached to the other Star Wars, to the Star Wars that I love, to the Star Wars I grew up with. I don't think about Rey. Like, here's the thing. You think about Kylo and you're like, okay, this dude's, bouncing around on Han Solo's lap next to a DL-44, and he's calling Uncle Lando. That's dope. And then you think, I wonder what Rey was doing at that point. Well, first of all, she wasn't even born. But when she was that age, she was just on a desert planet doing nothing. She was doing nothing. It doesn't matter. And that's why I think you have Rey tied to someone else. Her lineage, that in and of itself, I think would have been much better. It would have tied Rey to these other characters, even if she leaves early on. So, like, from where she's at right now, she leaves. Let's just say, okay, so let's take it as an example, and I'll get off this in a second. Shockwave Wrestling, $2 super chat, coming in hot. What about the flashbacks from the original series in episode 9? You mean Force Awakens? Yeah, I'll get to that in just 1 second. Last thing I want to say about this. Even if Rey, let's just say Rey was the daughter of Luke, and yet we still think that Rey at age 6 or 7 or whatever was marooned on Jakku. Even though from 8 to 19, you have an 11-year gap where she's basically just on this desert planet doing nothing. You still have 7 or 8 years where she's attached to these characters. And then if she is Luke's daughter, then it's like, oh my God, what is Luke thinking? And you start to think about Luke, and you're starting, I know that it can't be Luke, but the example is sound. What I'm saying to you is, part of the reason that a franchise like Star Wars, which relies so heavily on nostalgia, part of the reason that you make characters related to other characters is because it's an easy way to tie to the nostalgia. So when Kylo says you don't have any part in the story, he is literally on the nose correct. He's on the nose correct. And I think it's a problem. But that's just me. Okay, so I'll get off of that. So let's go back to this question here, the super chat from Shockwave Wrestling. What about the flashbacks from the original series in Episode 9? And again, I believe what you're talking about is the Force back vision that Rey had in The Force Awakens. So I think that that is going to play a role. And I actually have this theory that the flash fights, the reason that they happen sort of connected to the abilities that Rey and Kylo have. I think that the reason Kylo has the helmet of Vader is that when he touches that, or he's around that, he can have a Force back vision to moments of Vader's power, terror, darkness. You know what I mean? You get a flashback to the past. The Force showing Kylo something. Similarly, that's what's going on with Rey. She touches Anakin's saber, and she has this ability. She has this connection to the Force. She sees all of these things. It's awesome. And I think that there's something special going on with them. And I think that those two, with their powers, combined, that's what the flash fights will be like. That the reason the flash fights will happen is because Rey and Kylo's abilities within the Force are going to come to a head. The cosmic Force itself is probably like, okay, thank God I got these two idiots to finally come back together. Now I need to show them how they need to set aside these petty differences and focus on the big threat, which is, of course, Palpatine. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Maria Miles says, it's pretty clear at this point that Rey isn't related to the Solo or Skywalker families. So, Maria, I'm with you. It is pretty clear. But here's what's crazy. This is how film works. The only thing they need to do to make it that way is to just make it that way. Like if in Episode 9 it comes out and they're like, yeah, no, she's a Skywalker. And here's how it works. And you're like, oh, shit. Now I see. That's called retroactive continuity. It's retconning. And yeah, they can still totally do that. Technically, Luke and Leia were not supposed to be related at all. At all. That idea came later. They were actually going to be romantically involved. And then George was like, what if they weren't? What if they were brother and sister? And it's literally, that's all they have to do in 9. And that's why I get nervous about it. You know, there's a lot of people that still think they're brother and sister. And I'm telling you, whenever I meet someone that's like their brother and sister, I'm like, how? What? Where's the evidence for that? There's no evidence. You know? But technically, they can create evidence. You know what I'm saying? Will Palps really play a big part in Episode 9? Ian McDermott indicated that we shouldn't get too excited. Palps is a huge part of Episode 9. Ian McDermott might not be in that movie a lot. And that might be where he's coming from. Ian McDermott could have shot a scene where he is a hologram, where he's doing some kind of recording, and he even understands the context. Okay? But that doesn't mean anything, considering the fact that we think that Matt Smith is Palpatine. When Palpatine comes back, it's not Ian McDermott. It's going to be Matt Smith. So Matt Smith, God, all this Raylo talk's getting me hot. I got to take this shirt off. Matt Smith is, if you ask Matt Smith, he would tell you he's not even in the movie, right? But if you had Matt Smith under some truth serum, Matt Smith would be like, oh yeah, Palpatine is going to play a big role, and holy cow, get your hopes up. So that's my thoughts on that. You know what I mean? Let's see here. Kate R22, the country gal, coming in hot with the super chat. Just want to give some love, man. Keep it up. Well, thank you, Kate. I appreciate it. I'm a bit of a country boy myself. Raylo has to happen. Then at the ending scene, it's a flash forward scene to Raylo's child. Yeah. I'm with you. I think that was probably the plan, but that doesn't mean that's the way it's going to go down. I mean, we know Rey was at the Jedi Temple as a child per her Force vision, right? We know nothing, Flick Talk. We know nothing about that Force vision. We know nothing about that. All we know for sure is that she sees part of Vespin. Now, in the novel, she sees the actual fight between Vader and Luke. In the first draft, she was supposed to see Snoke and the boy and Vader and Luke. The thing itself, the vision itself, all it really does is show us a little bit of Vespin, and then it shows us the Knights of Ren and Kylo on some planet. We don't even know if that's Luke's temple. And then we see a version of them fighting in the future, which we think is a hint at the future, the ending of Episode 7. We have no idea what that freaking vision means. Oh, yeah, and we see her marooned, right? We see her marooned. We have no idea what that means. So, maybe Rey is the daughter of Obi-Wan and the Duchess of Mandalore. More than likely, Grey Dawn, and by the way, I love where your head's at with that, but more than likely, she would actually be the granddaughter of Duchess Satine and Obi-Wan. Because of the timing, like the way it all would have to have gone down. Yeah. And I think I would love for her to be a Kenobi. Truly. Actually, that's what I want. Is her what I really want is her to be a Palpatine. Like, I want her to be Palpatine's daughter. Because I'm sorry, Ryan said that he made her origin nobody because he said it would be the hardest thing for the character to have to deal with. I disagree 1,000%. That's the hardest thing for the fans to deal with. That's not the hardest thing for the character to deal with. The character would be like, oh, your parents were nobody. Awesome. Thanks for letting me know. Why would that devastate someone? Did she expect that? I'm sorry, did she expect that she had this lineage? Is that ever established that she expected to have this crazy lineage? She's trying to go back to Jakku. She's waiting for her family, who she thinks isn't anyone. So no, that's a stupid answer by Ryan. So here's the truth. What would be the hardest thing for Rey to deal with is if she comes from pure evil. If she is the daughter or granddaughter of Emperor Sheev Palpatine, Darth Sidious, the most evil person that there ever was, that would be difficult to deal with from a character's perspective. And if you think about Episode 9 with Palpatine coming back, damn, would that be crazy. Can you imagine Palpatine looking over to Rey and being like, I am your father. Join me and together we shall rule the galaxy. I'll even kill your stupid new boyfriend, you know? That would be dope. That would be dope. I would be into that. Dale Erdman coming in hot with the super chat. Rey Palpatine would be the ultimate thing. Man, if they do Rey Palpatine, I'll make a video. I'm gonna say it right here. If they do Rey Palpatine, I will make a video explaining why the sequel trilogy is now the best part of Star Wars. And I will explain and break down with surgical detail why this is indeed the case. Yeah. And another thing, too, I want to expand on something here. One of the things that's really cool about Mastering the Apprentice, and I love Mastering the Apprentice. Guys, if you are not reading all of Claudia Gray's books, she's one of the best things to happen to Star Wars in a long time. Her work is absolutely incredible. Please read Lost Stars, read Bloodline, read some of these books. Mastering the Apprentice, amazing book. And one of the things they talk about in that book was there were Jedi that interpreted the code, particularly around the idea of celibacy, sort of liberally. Like there's this great character, this great Jedi that in the book is he's like sleeping around. He's had sex with different people and all that stuff. And he's explaining that love and attachment to someone, that's really what's forbidden. As long as there's no strings attached, casual sex is in. Casual sex, totally fine for the Jedi. And of course, Anakin, had to interpret it in some sort of a way where, he allowed himself to break those vows. Obi-Wan, obviously with his feelings with Duchess Satine, we find out that Qui-Gon Jinn had a lover in that book, someone he loved, and it broke the code. And so that's I think something was really interesting. So there's, we have this idea that Luke could not father a child, that like the Jedi could not father a child. It's like, no, cross them off the list. Maybe not. Maybe we shouldn't be so quick to, cross them off the list. Perhaps they should show up to the Maury Povich episode, is what I'm saying. Maybe when Rey and Kylo go up against Sidious, she finds out by Sidious himself that she's the granddaughter. Yes, that's exactly it. That would be the juice, baby. That would be the juice. And I mean, just think about how cool this is. Think about how cool it is. The Resistance would look at her differently. You know what I mean? The Resistance is like, here's this godlike, powerful person. She's Jedi-like, but she comes from Palpatine. We've already seen what can happen when good Force people go bad. All of a sudden, the Resistance is side-eyeing her. Kylo's looking at her a different way. You know what I mean? He's probably like a little excited about it, but he's also a little intimidated. And he's like, "Oh my God, dude, what?" The First Order would look at her differently. Like, imagine the First Order is like, "Yeah, we're gonna kill this new Jedi chick. Screw her." All of a sudden, they're like, "No, we're gonna capture our rightful princess." Mind blowing. It'd be really cool if they did that. No, I have not seen Claudia's interview on What the Force channel. No, I'd have to check that out. By the way, I was talking with Al yesterday too. I keep referencing the conversation I had with Al. By the way, if you haven't liked the stream yet, like, are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here? Please do me a favor and like the stream. So I was talking to Al yesterday about what I think they're going to do with these characters in this timeline post 9. I got to be honest here, guys. I personally think they don't ever touch these characters again. They're never going to go back to these characters, and I have a whole slew of reasons why. But if they were to go back to this era or to do something even close to this era in Star Wars, I think that the way they should do it is to have Palpatine win. And I think the perfect ending, if they're going to revisit this, which I don't think they're going to, because here's what's really going to happen. Rey and Kylo are going to beat Palpatine, probably much to their own sacrifice. Kylo will probably kill himself. The galaxy will be set right. The ultimate sacrifice of Kylo Ren. He finished what his grandfather started. The prophecy's fulfilled. The Skywalker saga is over. They finally put the final nail in the coffin of Sheev Palpatine. R.I.P. Sheevy P. But here's what they should do. Palpatine wins. Rey is killed. And Kylo, with their child, has to go into exile and bide his time. And just the reason this would be so cool is because think about where that leaves Kylo as a character, particularly if he joins with Rey, confesses his love, and he's like, yeah, no, you were right. But then he loses her. So then there's like all this guilt. He has all this guilt because he didn't actually do it the right way. Rey is sort of pushed to a new place in the fandom. She's sort of a martyr. We remember her much more fondly. The child and Kylo, he is still dark side, but he knows he has to raise the child with the light. That's what Rey would want. Raise the child with the light side. In the way future, you pick up with old man Ben Solo and the Force child who's like a god. And Palpatine has an iron-fisted control, and it's obviously Matt Smith Palpatine. And you sort of reset everything. You have the Dark Empire in charge of everything. You have the Last Hope, the Rebellion, the last Force user. this kid lives his whole life thinking that his dad was a good guy. Palpatine later on says, "Oh, you don't know about your father, do you?" and shows him who Kylo was. It causes a fracture in the kid. It's like, oh, damn, Dad, I didn't know you were a Sith Lord. This is crazy. All this stuff. That would be the way to do it as a storyteller. Unfortunately, Star Wars and Disney is really more business minded with this sort of stuff. They don't want anything to do with this saga anymore. I promise you. So they won't take my advice. They won't do my ending. They will instead just kill off Kylo Ren and end the Skywalker saga there. But maybe someday they'll let me write a Star Wars movie or a trilogy or something, and we'll get something really cool. Yeah. I'm actually working on. No, he's not a Sith. I misspoke. I'm actually working on some fan fiction, some really cool Star Wars stuff. Because, another thing that we were talking about yesterday, I was like, well, because I told Al, I was like, yeah, they're never going back to this era. You're never going to see any of these actors again in Star Wars. And then we were like, okay, well he was like, well, how are they going to do this then? How are they reset and bring people back into the theater? And I was like, well, it's Star Wars. People will always go back. But it's actually not challenging to set up a story that gets back to the mythos and the mythology of Star Wars. The reluctant hero. There's something really special about him. You must now unlearn what you learned. All these things. The hero's journey is the hero's journey. The main character and whatever they do next, there's a really great way to do it. And basically, what this made me think of was my fan fiction. Okay. And so I started to write, I wanted to prove it to people. And basically the reason I even worked on this fan fiction is because I want to prove to you guys and to a lot of other Star Wars fans and to Disney, if they'll just watch, that you can capture the magic of Star Wars. There's simple things that you can do. It's really not that hard. Set up the familiar in a new way. Make it feel new, but familiar. That's the Star Wars formula. You add some dope episodic John Williams-esque music. You got a Star Wars trilogy, man. It's really not that hard. Do we have a date for the trailer? We have a tentative date for the trailer, Mr. Anderson. What I am putting my money on is Friday, August 23rd. D23. That's when we will more than likely get the Star Wars Episode 9 Trailer 2. How long have we been going here, guys? Because I'm in a different screen than I normally am. I can't really say. I'm probably only going to go for like 10 more minutes. I feel like we're pretty close to an hour, maybe even over. Maria Miles, I'm telling you right now, Disney has zero interest in ever doing a Skywalker or Solo movie ever again. I promise you. And Solo was the nail in that coffin. They will never. I'm telling you. Look. Of course I don't know. But I'm telling you guys, I'm pretty good at this. You know what I mean? I've been in this thing for a while. I know how to look at the patterns of these companies. I know how to look at simple dollars and cents. You look at the pattern of behavior here. Look, Lucasfilm is of the mind. I'm telling you that they were like, wow, we did not do this the right way. We learned a lot of lessons. I don't think we should have these characters. Like originally going into the saga, yes, their plan was we're going to set up these new characters. Everyone will love them. And then, boom, after this, we'll continue to tell stories with these characters. That did not happen. That just did not happen. And I'm sorry to tell you, even if you love Star Wars the way I do, even if you love what's going on in the sequel trilogy, you just got to look at the numbers. The merchandise sales alone speaks volumes for how these new characters they're not resonating with people. And I explained this to Al yesterday. Even the prequels, who were maligned and people just lost their mind and didn't really like the prequels. There's a lot of hate for the prequels. The merchandising sales for the prequels were absurd. Absurd. Everybody was buying those toys. everything. That it's not happening with the sequel trilogy. Disney wants to get out of this trilogy as fast as they can, and they never, ever want to put these characters on the silver screen ever again. I'm telling you. Which sucks. But those characters will still live on. Like, they'll still be referenced. They're going to be in comics, novels, things like that. But I'm telling you, just watch. Just watch how it shifts in the next couple of years. Why do you think there's 3 years between Episode 9 and the first of the Old Republic trilogy? I'm telling you guys. Just watch the way it shifts. And it's okay. Like, honestly, it's okay. Because what's going to happen is the sequel trilogy, much like the prequels, over time, people will let it go. Over time, people will start to really like the things they like about it. Over time, the sequel trilogy will rise, and people will have fonder appreciation for it. But it doesn't matter to Disney. They spent bajillions of dollars. They've focused their marketing on, like, Galaxy's Edge around these characters. They've focused. Like, you can look at it right now. Look at what Hasbro announced for the Black Series and for what they're doing in 2019 and 2020 with the Star Wars toys. It's all nostalgia. It's all going back. There's no Reys, there's no Kylos, there's none of that. It's old school. You just got to look at the way it goes down, man. It's money. It's, at the end of the day, Disney did not buy Star Wars for altruistic reasons. You know what I'm saying? Oh, do you think the next set of movies will have the Yuuzhan Vong as the villains? They're like the White Walkers of Star Wars. No, I don't think so. I think that's a little too weird. I think it's a little too weird for Star Wars. I just don't think that's going to work. And even then, that was when the EU got a little too weird for people too. That's when a lot of people checked out of the EU because it felt too much like a Marvel comic book event, which even Marvel comic book events started to just get fatigued. Like, people are like, well, it can't be the craziest thing that ever happened over and over and over again. Like, that gets old. You know what I mean? Disney can make a lot of money from continuing these stories. Why else would Disney invest in Star Wars? Maria, here's the thing. And look, I could be wrong. I'm going to say that over and over again. I could be wrong. But here's the thing. Disney is going to realize that the best way for them to make money off of Star Wars is by hanging their hat on old nostalgic stuff and creating new stuff that is not connected to the sequel trilogy. So it's like, if you want to make money, it's all about input output. Okay, the amount of input that has gone on in the first 4 years of Star Wars is absurd. Rogue One, love that movie. Crazy good movie, but they probably spent close to $400 million on that movie. Probably close to $600 million on that movie when you consider the marketing, because they essentially remade it. You know what I mean? So even Rogue One probably didn't make as much money as we all think it did. Force Awakens. You know how much money they spent on that? You know how much money they spent on advertising that? It broke box office records. It's insane. But you're talking input, output. Input, output. If they put... let me give you an example. If they put up the original trilogy in the non-special edition version, and they do that, they put that into theaters, that's like free money. They have that product. It already exists. The input's very low. The output's very high. You see what I'm saying? It behooves them to work on something else that resonates. I think the reason Old Republic is such a good idea is because, number one, it really opens up the merchandising. Like, they sort of put themselves in a weird place with the merchandising for the sequel trilogy, because there's only 2 lightsabers. There's literally only 2 lightsabers. And they changed the name of the lightsaber in one of the movies to try to trick you with merchandise. It just doesn't work. So, like, if you go back to Old Republic, you got a bajillion Sith, you got a bajillion Jedi. You can introduce like 30 Force users that different people will be attracted to. It'll resonate with different people and all that. there's way more room to create stuff that has a higher output. You know what I'm saying? But again, this is just speculation. This is just what I think. And by the way, I think they should continue this story because it would be dope. Drop some likes. Second Street Marvel in the hizzy. Could Rey be a descendant of Revan? It's very possible, and that would be a very cool way to subtly tie into the next thing they're going to do, which is the Old Republic. That would be cool. Original trilogy isn't going to sell very well when the demographic for it shifts. I don't think that's statistically true at all. I think even young hipster kids way more would rather rock Darth Vader, Emperor Palpatine, Tarkin, because you see the nostalgia. It's one of these weird things where the nostalgia of Star Wars is really just constant. So even the new generation, like I'm being totally honest, just totally honest. Think about hipsters, think about these new kids with their TikToks and, you know, their fancy colored hair and all the crazy things that they do. Do you really think those people are going to rock a Kylo Ren or a Rey piece of merchandising? No. They're going to rock old school 80s Leia, vintage. That's what's hot. That's what the kids like. The kids don't care, by and large, about the new sequel trilogy. And that's the way it is. Look, I love Kylo. I rock some Kylo stuff, but I'm just telling you, facts is facts, dog. Facts is facts. Numbers don't lie. Yeah, exactly. Transformers. 80s nostalgia. Flying Wookiee says, I grew up with the original trilogy, lost interest during the prequels, came back a bigger fan than ever in the sequel trilogy. So interesting. That's very interesting. I know a lot of people that their love for Star Wars was reinvigorated by The Force Awakens. But I'm telling you, when I think about those consumers and I think about what they spent their money on, I'm telling you, even those people are more than likely spending their money on older nostalgic stuff. I own a bajillion Star Wars things. I've got a Star Wars hat on. I've got freaking Chewie and Han behind me. I've got the poster. This poster that I got at the Last Jedi panel in Orlando 3 years ago. When we saw that trailer for the first time in Orlando, it was mind-blowing. I have a bajillion Star Wars things. And even me, I'm way more likely to spend on something nostalgic. Look, maybe it's not even the fact that the sequel trilogy is failing. Maybe it's just the fact that, like, you're never going to... It's just too iconic. It's too pop culturally relevant, all of the older Star Wars stuff. Maybe that's just the way it is. Show you the numbers? Bro, have you seen the reports on the merchandising for Star Wars? You know what? I will show you the numbers. In fact, this week I will look, and by next weekend, I will show you guys the numbers, but you're not going to like them. I mean, you've seen the videos, right? There's haters out there that'll do the videos, and they're like world-class bullshitters, and they'll be like, look at these toy sales. And even though world-class bullshitters are really, like, the thing is, most of these people, it's like they're not wrong. They're just assholes. Is what it comes down to. They're not wrong. They're just dicks about it. But like that report of Disney licensing divisions, which is public information because it's a publicly traded company, guys, the merchandising for Star Wars was down. Down. What do I think? Here's what I'm going to leave it on. I'm going to leave it on a positive note because I can feel the tension in the room. It's okay. It's okay, guys. You know, Daddy still loves Star Wars. It's all right, guys. Here's what we'll leave on. Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith said, mind-blowing shot at the end of episode 9. It'll blow your mind, is what he said. So what could this shot be? Man, A lot of people have a lot of cool different ideas about this. I think the safe money on what could be a mind-bending Star Wars shot is maybe and finally a funeral for our heroes, including Leia, including Han, and including Luke, a funeral that perhaps even happens on Yavin 4 that mirrors the metal scene from the very first Star Wars, but in a somber tone. And you got your Force ghosts of every Jedi that's ever, you know what I mean? Like you got your Anakin, you got your Ben Solo, because they're gonna kill him. Like, let's just be real. That's what my money is on. The mind bending shot will be a pull out shot from the funeral on Yavin 4 of the original trilogy heroes, the Skywalkers and Solo. That, I think, is what the mind-bending shot will be. So that's where we're going to leave it, guys. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for this live stream. Star Wars Sunday is back in full force. We're going to be doing so much cool Star Wars stuff as we head to Star Wars Episode 9, which I am so excited for. I'm frustrated by the lack of trailer and the lack of promotion, but I'm so excited for the movie. Like, I'm so excited. I actually really think they're going to pull it off. I think JJ is going to turn around a lot of opinions, and this is going to be very good for the fandom. That's what I think. As always, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're watching this on the replay, let me know what you're thinking. Before you get out of here, drop a like. I will know if you didn't drop a like. I will know. And I'll see your chat. And I'll ignore it, because you didn't like the video. So think about that. All right, guys. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I will see you in the next video.